Jessica, welcome back. Thank you for joining us again. We want to talk about OpenShift GitOps and OpenShift AI and how you can use them together. So one of my favorite things in this entire series that we're doing is getting into other use cases that people might not know as much about. And when we were chatting in the lobby, you had kind of brought this up. And so I wanted to just dive in a little deeper with you. So starting at the basics, why would folks want to even use GitOps and OpenShift AI together?
Yeah. So running models, it's part of your application. And if you already use GitOps for the rest of running your enterprise applications, you would want to do that for your models as well. You want to control the rollout, you want to control the environments when you're transitioning from one model to another, when there's a model update. Like, you want to control it, right? That's why you're using GitOps in the first place. So think of your model as just, it's part of your enterprise app. It's no different.
What are the benefits of doing it besides just being able to control?
Well, with GitOps, you're working with a source of truth Git repo, right? That's why it's GitOps. So in theory, you know exactly and have tracked all of the changes over time as you've committed those changes to that Git repo. So you know exactly what the state was supposed to have been last week, 2 weeks ago, and you can see exactly who, what, and when it was changed. So from an auditing trail perspective, you know what's been going on in your environment over time.
Great. Now, how would you talked kind of at a high level, how would you actually use them together?
So in our last talk, I mentioned the two API types with model serving that are really important, the runtime server and the inference service. And these are coming from the Kserve project. These, like many other APIs in the OpenShift Kubernetes space, are done with YAML. They are custom resource definitions. And like all other YAML, they can be checked into a Git repo and applied programmatically through GitOps into your cluster. So these resources are defining exactly what runtime you want to use to be able to inference against the model, and then which model you want to use. Those are the things that you want to control programmatically with your GitOps. And like I said, because they're YAML, you can check them in. So if you want to change that model, you're checking that change into the repo as a different field in the inference service resource.
What kind of impact does it have on the folks and the developers and engineering teams who are doing this versus traditional models?
If you're already a GitOps shop, you don't want to have a separate path to production, right? Because then you're introducing uncertainty into your production environment. So you want to just add the models to that. If you're not already a GitOps shop and you're thinking about it, then you want to do these things together. Like, think about it as one big application. Don't think about it as different things. So as you're making your way towards GitOps, plan on having your models there too.
Great. For someone who's new to this, what are the first 3 things that they need to do to get themselves started?
So get an OpenShift cluster, install OpenShift GitOps, install OpenShift AI.
And from there, where do they go?
And then you need to have a Git repo. So GitOps works because you have to have a Git repo. So create a Git repo. There are different approaches to how you set up those Git repos. It depends on your use cases. So go and look on resources on how to do GitOps with Argo CD. That's the project that backs OpenShift GitOps. And once you're comfortable with that and have a feel for the right thing for your particular use case, the right pattern, then that'll help you with how to populate that Git repo in the right way.
Okay, great. And what's the benefit of OpenShift GitOps and OpenShift AI together?
I think it's that same thing. It's that audit trail consistency of how you are rolling out, right? Like, that's really the most important thing here. We've talked about DevOps for years. Now we have MLOps, right? So I think there's this tendency to worry that like this is somehow like scary and different, but it's really not. They mirror each other, just like you walk through the workflow of coding your application and building it and shipping it and deploying it. Model development is the same. You're training it, it's like coding it. you're packaging it in some way, however you want to deliver that, and then you're deploying it. So these two paths, MLOps and DevOps, they really mirror and then come together ideally so that you are testing these two things together and rolling them out together. So parallel and then joining.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us again today. It's always fun to pick your brain and learn more.